Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast, best bets video for the PFL World Tournament Round 1, middleweights and lightweights. And if you're just looking for a place to get some picks and you're fed up of Ian Parker's poor picks, then you're in the right place now for Ground and Pound. As always, we give you the best bets for the PFL and for the UFC. And we're going to go through all of my best bets this week in this video, talking about some of the plays that I like for the card. I was hoping to get this video out a little bit sooner for you guys, but unfortunately some of the sports books didn't drop the lines, didn't drop some of the props. So I delayed it. I couldn't delay it anymore, but some of the slides, as you're going to see, are not going to have any odds on them. Hopefully closer to the time of the event, you'll see some of those odds. But let's talk about some of the best bets that I like this week. And starting us off, as always, we have the confident parlay of the week. And kicking things off, we had Brent Primus inside the distance. I really like him in this matchup here against Vinicius. I think he gets this fight to the ground early and often. I think he smashes him on the floor like he looks to do in most of his fights. Very physically dominant. And I know what you're saying, 40 years old, I hear it, but he's levels above on the ground. I think he's going to be able to get this fight to the ground very easily. Vinicius has been submitted in both of his losses previously in his MMA career, one of which was to Sam Patterson in the Contender Series. If you're getting submitted by Sam Patterson, I don't care if you train at King's MMA, you are not going to be able to handle Brent Primus on the ground. I think he gets this one to the ground, probably second round submission if I'm being honest, or maybe ground and pound. But that's the first leg of our confident parlay this week. And next up we have Godzi, and Godzi in this particular matchup here, I like him. I think that he's well-rounded. I think he's a bad matchup for Mark Diakasey coming over from the UFC. I think that he's well-rounded. Dagestani wrestler. He can get it done on the feet. He can get it done on the ground. I think in a lot of Mark Diakasey's matchups, he's usually the better wrestler. Well, that's not going to be the case in this one, and I think Godzi pretty much just shows him that there's levels. I think that he shows that he's well-rounded compared to Mark Diakasey. I think he gets it done here as a second leg in our confident parlay. And that brings us to the very last leg, which is Murad. And Murad in this particular matchup, I like him purely because of the fact that I think we're getting him at a better price, fighting Aaran Jeffries. Aaran Jeffries isn't a bum, isn't a slouch by any means, but Murad in this particular matchup coming off of 2 losses against the former or current, I should say, PFL champion. So no shame in losing to the champion. Musiev, I believe his name is. Musiev is very, very skilled, very well-rounded, and I think that because of the fact that he lost to him twice, once by KO, twice by KO, I believe it was, I think we're getting him here at a better price against a guy in Aaran Jeffries that I think that he's going to be able to ragdoll to the ground using his wrestling. I think the fact that this is a middleweight, where he's used to be fighting at welterweight, I think that he's going to be able to use the fact that he's fighting up in weight. He's always been fairly big for the weight class. I think he's going to be able to get takedowns here. And in a lot of Aaran Jeffries' fights, he likes to be able to clinch up against the fence. Now, that's not going to be on the table here against a guy like Murad. I think if he gets in the clinch that he's going to be able to get takedowns. Jeffries is the better striker. However, I just think he's going to have a hard time defending takedowns against the Dagestani in Murad. And he caps off what is going to be a confident parlay this week in the PFL. A little bit chalky, but a lot of the PFL lines are, if you're new to betting the PFL, that is what we have to deal with. So we have to try and find some value. And I like this one this week. And that brings us to our first bet of the individual single bets, moneyline bets. I have Fabian Edwards in the main event. I like Fabian in this particular matchup. Started off this week at something around plus 150. He's come all the way down now to plus 112. Almost even money, but we're still going to hit him now while it's at plus money. And my keys to victory for this one, stay off the fence. We need to make sure that we stay off the fence here, Fabian. Keep this fight at range. You're much better at range than Impa Kasanganay on the feet. What Impa's going to look to do is try and get cage control. In a lot of his fights, he likes to try and get you up against the fence to go for takedowns. Fabian's pretty good at keeping the fight on the feet. He's got a lot of good cage work with him and his brother that work over there in Birmingham. So I'd like to see him stay off the fence, keep this one at separation. Keeping this one at separation, like I mentioned, southpaw stance, blast kicks, keep it at space, and really just let your hands go. I think in this matchup, he's the better striker. I think he's going to have success keeping this fight at separation and looking to really just to pick his shots. Don't overextend. I think if he overextends, he's going to invite the takedown from Impa Sanganai. Obviously, he's now used to fighting up at light heavyweight, coming back down to middleweight. So definitely somebody that's going to look to get the fight to the ground. I think if Fabian can just pick his shots, he can have bigger moments here. And at plus money, sign me up here. I think Fabian Edwards gets it done as one of our best bets here this week. And next up, we have Mike Shipman. And a lot of you guys who aren't familiar with betting, basically what they provide is a +3 spread. Basically what that means is we can get Mike Shipman +3.5 on the judges' scorecard. So all we need is Mike Shipman to win a round. He can lose 29-28, but our bet will still hit. And unfortunately, like I mentioned at the top of the video, the odds for the +3.5, a lot of the prop odds aren't out currently. But I like Shipman in this matchup. He's wild. He has finishes on the ground. He has finishes on the feet. I think in this particular matchup, he's very big for the weight class, even though Silveira is coming from light heavyweight down to middleweight in this particular matchup. I think honestly he can pretty much take this fight wherever he wants and have success. And what I'd like to really see him do, and the keys to victory here, is to wrestle early. I think Silveira is going to be dangerous early. He is a finisher. I'd like to see Mike Shipman wrestle early. If he can wrestle early, take out the gas tank of Silveira, wear on him, take some of the pop, take some of the sting away. We've seen Silveira slow down in a lot of his fights. I think Mike needs to be able to have forward pressure here. If he can go forward, get in the clinch, make the fight dirty, he can really just kind of turn this thing into a brawl. I think he can have success. We've seen Silveira before struggle with pressure fighters that, can fight on the outside, but also can move forward. I like him in this particular matchup here. And one of the things that I really do like about Mike Shipman, which I noticed on tape, is he likes to throw knees up the middle. Very, very dangerous. In his last 2 fights, he's happy to throw that knee up the middle when guys shoot in for takedowns. And Silveira is a wrestler primarily by trait. I believe he was a Division I All-American at Arizona State. So did wrestle at Division I level. So throwing those knees up the middle, time one of those, and we'll be looking at night for Silveira. I like Mike Shipman on the spread here, though, not the money line, just purely because of the fact that I think he's very live to win multiple rounds, and then that way it covers us. It should be plus money. Like I said, I don't know what the odds are currently, but Mike Shipman on the +3.5 spread this week as our second best bet. And that brings us to our third best bet with Sada Boussi. And I like him here in this matchup, KO or decision. And as I mentioned earlier, no line for this one yet. But I like Sada Boussi here. I think Dalton Rooster is a little bit out of his depth here. I think Sada Boussi has got a lot more experience in the PFL and in MMA in general. Very, very good at keeping fights standing, and a very, very credentialed kickboxer and Muay Thai practitioner. Has records in the PFL for a 17-second knockout. I believe it was at welterweight or middleweight. So very credentialed kickboxer and striker here, and he's able to keep fights to the feet. And for the keys to victory, that's exactly what I'm looking for him to do here. I want him to stay off the fence. Circle away from the fence so Dalton cannot push you up against the fence and keep you there. He wants to be able to get in the clinch. He is very physically dominant, Dalton Rooster, in terms of his build and his muscularity. C has been prepared for that, fighting up at light heavyweight. I think that he does a good job of circling off the fence, moving his feet and picking his shots. And we need to look for straight shots in this matchup, Sada Boussi. If he can throw stuff straight down the pipe to catch Rooster, he doesn't necessarily have the best head movement. I think that's pretty much the way that he's going to win this fight, is being able to land the straighter shots. Nothing hooking, nothing wild. Keep it technical, which is what Sada Boussi likes to do, and just get separation. The more that this fight can stay at space, the more it suits Sada Boussi. The more they're in the clinch, the more that suits Dalton Rooster. So there's something for you guys to keep an eye out for in this particular matchup. But I like Sada Boussi here. I think that he's going to be able to get it done. He's going to keep this technical, and I think that his experience is going to shine through here in the PFL Best Bets video as the third pick on our best bets. And that brings us to one of our last best bets, and we here have Clay Colliard. And I like Clay Colliard here by KO or decision. I also think as well you could maybe take him by decision, or maybe in some sort of over to get a little bit more juice here, and maybe KO decision and the over if it lets you parlay it in a bet builder or a same game parlay. I think this is a great matchup for Clay Colliard here against Alfie Davis. Really, the keys to victory here is exactly how Clay Colliard fights. I think keep it at boxing range, pressure forward the whole entire fight, let his hands go, and really just throwing combinations. I just believe that the difference here with Alfie Davis, he likes to be at space. He likes to be able to be at kicking range. He has that kind of MVP, point style, karate style of fighting. And the difference with those particular fighters, they struggle with boxers that pressure forward. And that's exactly how Clay Colliard fights, as I mentioned in our full card breakdown with Carlos on Tuesday. I'll leave a link in the description for that particular video if you guys are interested in that. But like I mentioned, Clay, great boxer. I think the pressure here, letting his hands go against Alfie Davis in close quarters, I think that's definitely the path to victory here. And you can get a little bit more juice taking the over, taking the KO by decision prop. That way, you can kind of get a little bit more bang for your buck, as so to speak. And yeah, Clay Colliard, I think other people see what I see in terms of the line movement this week. He started off at almost a pick 'em. He's now somewhere around minus 250. So jump on that train while you can once those props drop. And I like Clay Colliard here to pressure forward, throw in combinations, and get it done using his boxing and his cardio this week. Now, Aaron, I know what I know what you guys are thinking, right? There's 2 fights left on the card. What can we do with them? Well, I'm calling this one the leftovers parlay. We have Robert Wilson, Robert Watley, excuse me, who I really like in this particular matchup. I think, honestly, his opponent coming in on 2 days' notice, I think he's going to be able to get it done here. He's the more physically superior athlete. He should be able to keep this one on the feet. His opponent looks to get the fights to the ground. He's had a full camp. I like him in this particular matchup as a first leg of our parlay here. I think J.J. Wilson as well. Honestly, this should be fight of the night, him against Mads Brunel. This kid is game, like I said on the full card breakdown. I like him in both of these guys in this particular matchup. I think it just gives us something to bet on if you guys are looking for a little bit more action on some of the fights that we haven't already talked about. I think this is a good way to go about it. I feel fairly confident in both of these guys. Carlos and I did pick both of these guys in our full card breakdown. I think they both get it done. I think probably by decision for Wilson here. I don't necessarily think that he's going to get the finish. I think Mads Brunel is pretty tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did get a finish. And Robert Watley, honestly, I think that it could be anything he wants other than maybe submission. So KO or decision for Watley here. And like I said, the leftover parlay, just to give you guys something to look at, something to bet on this week for some of the fights we haven't already talked about. And this one was very, very difficult to obviously put together, which is why you see a lot of the question marks. As I mentioned, the props have not dropped yet, but I like Brent Primus this week by submission. If you can get him at plus money, I think there's value in that. I think probably second round submission. I think he's going to look to get this fight to the ground. I think he's going to look to be dominant. I'm going to make a bold prediction here, not that you can bet on it, but I think we go head and arm choke. I think that's how he's going to get it done on the ground. I think he's going to get into a dominant position, look for that head and arm choke, and ultimately find the submission victory here in our prop section for our best bets. And J.J. Wilson by decision. I like J.J. Wilson here to get it done. I think he's the more aggressive striker. His one lone loss coming to Godzi. He looked fantastic in that fight. I think here he's going to be the better striker. I think he can mix in takedowns. He's active off his back. The kid is wild. He'll give the judges plenty to score. And he has a newfound confidence, I think, after that performance against Godzi, where he made a good showing of himself. I think he gets it done here by decision. Again, not sure about what the props are. I think this is going to be close to almost 2-1, so maybe plus 200. So keep an eye out for that one here. J.J. Wilson by decision as our second prop bet. And as I mentioned earlier, I like Clay Colliard by decision. Take the overs in his fights. He usually walks forward and pressures, but not necessarily a power puncher, more of a volume guy. I like Clay Colliard here by decision to get it done. I like him in this particular matchup for the reasons I already mentioned against Alfie Davis, but we can get a little bit better in terms of the value and the props here by taking Clay by decision. And that brings us and wraps us up here all the way to what's coming next on the Ground and Pound podcast. And coming soon, guys, we have Ian Gary taking on Carlos Prates in the UFC next Saturday. And Carlos and I are going to do a full card breakdown for that entire event on Tuesday or Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that video coming to you soon. And if you've enjoyed all of the content on the Ground and Pound podcast, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're looking for more PFL Best Bets videos, I'm going to need to see some likes. I'm going to need to see some, subscribers and comments. So let me know. Show some love. Show some support if you want these videos to continue. And enjoy the fights tonight, guys. Thank you for all of your kind comments on the previous video. We do appreciate all of your love and support. And see you in the next video. Peace.